work with other people is that I came from a very humble means, and I feel like anytime that you can show that, regardless to what has happened in your past, you can still find success, then that's my message overall. Thank you, everybody.
Hello, everybody. Today in the house we have Dolores Neira. She is a founder and CEO at Performance Outcome and Associates. She is a corporate professional development and leadership trainer as well as an author. She is the author of A Workforce Inspired. Welcome to the house and thank you for being here.
I'm so excited to be here with you.
Yay! So please share with us a little bit about your background. Tell us who Dolores is before she became an author, before she became a CEO.
So I'm one of five, born to a single parent. I have grown so much in my short amount of time in this world, and I feel like that's probably my passion around wanting to work with other people is that I came from a very humble means, and I feel like anytime that you can show that, regardless to what has happened in your past, you can still find success, then that's my message overall. And I like to work with individuals that are in the workplace, because many times we think that at the workplace we stop learning and we only learn certain things that like is on their agenda or their tasks. But I think that we should be lifelong learners, and I'll address that in a little while. But mainly, I guess, for the stats that most people like to know, I've been married 38 years. I have three grown children, and I've had my business since 2002. My minority-owned female small business, so Performance Outcomes and Associates. So that's me in a nutshell. I feel like I am very proud of what I've accomplished, but I have to say that it's been a team effort with the family. So, I have a master's in education. I just received my license in brain health education. So I am now a licensed brain health trainer with Amen Brain Health University here in Irvine and Long Beach. But I'm able to train all over the world on brain health. And really, that's, if your brain isn't happy, you're not going to be happy. So that's really what I've learned. So I have a passion around that.
That is amazing. Oh, yes. Please tell us, what is a role as a leader? And what led you to it?
Okay, so I was always in education. So my first, with my master's in education, I started working for UC Berkeley, UC Santa Barbara, different universities in the recruitment and admissions, because I felt like as a first generation college student, I wasn't told about college opportunities from anyone in a professional position. I was told by my friend who happened to already be going down that avenue, back in the day. And I said, why are we in different classes? I was in basic and she was in, higher ed or prep. And so she gave me the rundown that she was going to college. And I thought, well, I kind of want to go there too. So that was what I did early on, knowing that the state can provide help for low income and first generation college students. And I was so passionate about that opportunity that I went ahead and started to become like an admissions recruiter. So I did that for several years, but then I somehow, I started having a family. My husband and I started having our family, and I needed a little more flexibility, and I didn't want to go into teaching. I wanted to do a little different. I was happy with this recruitment. So I went ahead and started working with businesses. Somebody recruited me and said, "Hey, can you be a corporate trainer for this organization?" And I thought, well, that's amazing. Yeah, I mean, I'll get paid to talk to people at work, And so it just stuck with me. And then because I had children, under the age of 5, I needed to have a flexible schedule. So I decided, if they can hire me to do that, why can't I do that myself? So that's when the light went on, and I said, I think I'm going to step out and be a small business owner. And that's really what happened for me, is that I started to do that for my own business in 2002. So I'm happy to say 20 years later, I'm still there.
Yeah.
It's gone through different, ebbs and flows. Now, I train a little bit more conservatively. I don't train everyone. Because I really want to make sure that they want to be trained before I would go into workplaces and they'd be like, fix us in half an hour or a weekend. And I'm like, no, that's not how it works. We need to do a lot more than just an hour or two. So this is why I stuck with that. At first, it was for the family accommodation, and now it's just because I love it.
Good. Yes. I mean, you're passing down, things, the tools that you are continue to learn, like the brain health. That's amazing. So through your years of experience, what do you think are the values that
Mm,
a leader must adopt in order
mhm,
to truly enjoy the role as a leader?
mhm. Um, so I'm going to put in a plug for my husband. He's been in social services for 32 years, and he's close to retirement. And I have to say that together we have I kind of help him with the people part, and he does the policy part. But I feel like what we've learned in our marriage and in our careers is that you really have to put the people that you're serving first to be a servant leader. Many times individuals get positions like directors or managers, and they feel like they become um, higher up in the scale, and that's not the triangle, and that's not necessarily true. The higher you go, I would flip that triangle upside down, because now you have more people to serve. So the top of this triangle now becomes your employees. And when you become a leader at that level, a lot of times we say, oh, they're at the highest level, so they don't know how to be with the frontline folks any longer. And I feel like that's the opposite. The higher you go, the more people you have to serve. So I think that that's one of the things that my husband and I have both talked about throughout our career, is how we need to have empathy for people, to understand what their needs are, what their vulnerabilities are, and to have trust, because individuals aren't going to come to you and tell you, I wrote on my resume that I know Excel, but I mean, I learned it, 10 years ago, and now I'm here and I really need a, refresher. And if you go and you show your vulnerability to somebody who controls your livelihood, then why, and they smack you down and say, you wrote this, that you learned it. And so that's why we hired you. So now we're going to have to rethink, that doesn't that doesn't breed trust or collaboration or caring, so I really feel like you have to have empathy, and you have to be persistent and trustworthy. Like you have to be the role model. One of my favorite books is called the Leadership Challenge. And the first of the 5 principles that come out of the Leadership Challenge is model the way. Plain and simple. A leader has to model the way. They cannot expect their team to do something differently than they're doing. So, and I don't mean that they have to get down, and do all the things that they do, because you have to trust that your employees can do it. But you want to understand what everyone needs, because you have your role and your position as well. But understand what everyone's going through. So I could talk like forever, Paola. Hours, girl, hours. I've trained and coached and mentored so many people, and I feel like all of this wealth of wisdom in me needs to, keep going. I can't shut that down. I have too much to share with other people. So
That's awesome. And
yeah.
like first thing that pops into my head is like, okay, if they're coachable,
Mhm.
they're on your side. Like if we
Yes.
have people in our team that are coachable,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna win with your team because
Mm-hmm.
you're able to mold them and guide
Mm-hmm.
them and uh
Mm-hmm.
and build a stronger team if they're coachable. So
And I think that's the toughest part for a trainer or for a leader to say, is to come face to face with someone who is so talented and so ready to go, but will not be coached. And you just feel sorry because you think if you could just let that guard down, or you could just accept this help, or you could just know that we're all in this together, things could be different. So
Yes, yes, I agree. Now, explain to us how a leader can set herself for success.
well, I think first of all, like I said a minute ago, model the way, model the way, but also in whatever your vision is for your particular workplace, share that with others. If you don't want them to do this, oh wait, oh okay, oh that's it, that's what you wanted. No, 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 you want them to be able to know clearly what the vision is, okay, so that they're not wasting their time because you haven't communicated it well enough. And remember, communication isn't that you used your breath and communicated it so you think it's done and over with. It's really, what did they receive? And so you have to keep checking back. What about the vision that we're sharing is bringing anyone a little confusion? Let's clarify that. And it's always it's not because it's a team effort always. So I think that's the first thing you have to do. And then you want to encourage everybody to be a part of this group. Give them, give them the feeling, the encouragement that they're part, and they're very important. I oftentimes do a workshop when I am hired on contract basis. I go in and I do a workshop, and it has to do with the chain of command. But a lot of times what we do is we think, oh, the chain of command, the leaders, the higher ups, the executives, the C-suite. No, it's the chain on how every single person in that role, it is part of a chain link. And if one breaks, it affects everyone else. So that the individual that's in this exercise that we're doing knows that just because they're just the frontline folks, or they're just the secretary, or whatever it is that some people feel like, oh, I'm just, I was sitting with someone recently, and just, everywhere I go, I like to talk about, who you are, and what, and this individual, she was this very kind young girl, and she says to me, well, she was a lady, she says, I said, so what do you do for a living, talk to me. And then she said, oh, I'm embarrassed, and then I said, well, why? And then she said, I'm working hard because I want to be a role model for my kids, but I didn't have education. So it's like, well, then what do you do? Tell me. She goes, oh, I just work at Subway. I'm a manager for Subway. And I said, girl, you're more than just a manager. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't get my good Subway sandwiches. It's just, you got to make people feel like it's there. Everybody's important to this,
Yes.
So if that chain breaks, you're not going to be able to provide a service to someone. And I think a lot of folks that are not coming back because of the pandemic, coming back to work, they've either quit or they've gone on unemployment or whatever it is. I feel like we've lost that, making them feel like they are important. They were important to the overall,
Yes.
process. Yeah.
My kids love Subway.
I know,
so,
I know that's
so
what I
I mean,
I said, you're not just.
no, she makes my kids happy. So, yes, I agree with you. It's like we all have a gift. It
Right?
doesn't matter if we have a degree, if we don't have a degree, if we speak, halfway English, halfway Spanish.
Yes. Yes.
Like, it doesn't matter. Like, I am here,
Yeah.
like, Dolores, if I misspell something, I get back. I mean, it's like one of you will, message me, say, "Hey, Paola, you're missing an S. Hey, Paola, you're missing." It's like I'm bringing value. It might not be like perfect, but you know what I mean. It's like we're here for each other.
The effort is there, and you were persistent. That's one of my words. The effort was there, and you were persistent. Yes.
Yeah. So to our Subway ladies out there, it's like you make our life brighter.
You rock.
Yes, you rock. So we all bring a gift to the world.
Yes.
So that's beautiful. Make our employees feel, that important. They matter, that their gift that they're bringing into the table matters. So, yay. How do you inspire a team to high performance?
First of all, I get to know them. I don't ever make decisions about a team, and this is from the perspective of a small business owner going in and doing a contract, where I train with a group of people for X amount of months to reach a goal that was established by their management. The first thing I do, I don't take any contracts unless I'm able to meet individually with each one of the people that will be in my training room, because I want to have already built the trust. I mean, not 100%, but I'm not a stranger coming into a room of people that don't know why I'm there or what I'm about to tell them, and why do I have the expertise to do that, Because a lot of times unfortunately, I come into very dysfunctional situations in the teams, and so they already have their guard up, right? So I have to come in, you know, treading lightly. So I never make any decisions about the team or even any evaluations about the team until I have met them myself. Now, in some situations, like I'm going to be doing a training for the International Women's Day on Tuesday upcoming, and that's going to be 2 different hours for hundreds of people at a time. So in that situation, I can't do that. But if you hire me for a set amount of time, I'm going to be there consistently for 6 months at least, because change doesn't even happen until 6 months. They have to know, oh, she has some skin in the game, because she's not just going to come and tell me what to do. She's going to keep coming back and take care of us until we do reach that and see progress. But I will not take that contract if they don't allow me to meet the staff that will be there, because that's first and foremost. I'm not there to hurt them. I can't fire or hire them. I am there to help them. And many times once they hear that, they're like, yes, because this place is toxic, And in my book, A Workforce Inspired, that I wrote, that was the reason I wrote it, because of the fact that in my years, my career, I was able to, I was asked by someone, to come in and work in their organization full time. And originally I was going to be working with teams and training. Well, that whole thing changed as soon as I got in there, and the dysfunction was so deep, but I couldn't do anything about it. No training, no anything, because my hands were tied. I wasn't brought in. My situation was shift from a trainer to an actual, like a manager for a specific department. And I saw stuff that was so illegal, but I could not, in terms of workplace harassment, workplace that was very frustrating for people, humiliating. And I thought, and eventually I just had to go. It wasn't going to be a good fit. I went back to my training, what I do, because I knew that I wasn't going to be able to help there. So, but it was so impactful to me, Paola, that I said, I got to do something about this. And all I know how to do is write. I write. That's how I get my thoughts out. And so I said, I'm going to write this, because I know that there's stories of so many people who had to go through something like this and maybe left the workplace, and they feel like, sick to their stomach, because maybe they weren't able to resolve that, and they feel like immediately it was them, them that created it. No, not necessarily, And so now I'm writing a second edition for that book, and I'm making it more of a diversity kind of situation, where I'm bringing in some stories that I have of male co-authors that are going to submit that, because all of for the first edition, it was only women, and I didn't really even figure that out till later. And I had some men that say, oh no, this woman is crazy at my office, she's treating us like. So anyway, that's coming out soon, but first I'm working on this other book.
Okay, well, I cannot wait to read the second part, because I read the first part and it spoke to me, because I've left the workforce before because I wasn't in the right environment.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, I'm not the only one that left quietly. Like I left quietly, like you and your girls, that you share the stories, and then they want you back. You know what I mean? It's like they don't understand what you're leaving, but you don't want to bring the drama. And you don't, you're thinking, well, I'm going to get a letter of recommendation maybe in the future. So you begin, in your mind, you're dealing with it by yourself pretty much. So you're like the story that spoke the most to me, it was about a lady that was in the Air Force.
Mm-hmm.
She retired and then she came to work in corporate America. And she said it was horrible, worse than being in the Air Force. And that
Mm-hmm.
was like, oh, that opened up my eyes even brighter
Mm-hmm.
to like, man, something has to be said
Mm-hmm.
and there has to be a positive change in the workforce.
Mm-hmm.
Like, come on, let's
Yes.
grow up together. We're not
Yes.
in high school anymore.
And this happened, I wrote this book during COVID because I said, okay, I can't just sit here twiddling my thumbs. I'm just not that type of person. So I was like, and this environment was so fresh in my mind that I thought the only way I'm going to be able to heal from this is to write it. And then somebody, and I said, but you know what? I'm not the only one that has stories like this. So I remember that person. In fact, they all have different names. They're not their real names. They were afraid actually to put their real names and their real places of employment. And so the one you're speaking of is now working very, very successfully. And she oftentimes connects with me and says, this is like heaven compared to
Oh,
the other. And it's night and day. And we treat each other here with respect. And you leave, it's not perfect. We have chaos sometimes. We have stuff thrown. It's in a medical situation. So she's, the medical industry right now is profession is really overworked. But she goes, but I take this 100 times over the way I felt at that
yeah.
place.
That really opened up it's like it opened my
Mm-hmm.
eyes even brighter. Like somebody
Mm-hmm.
from the army saying that in corporate America,
Mm-hmm.
her stress, her anxiety was like, she just didn't
Mm-hmm.
know what to do with it. So thank you for writing that book. And now you're bringing the second part. I can't
The
wait
male
to,
perspective, the male
good.
perspective.
That's good. You're giving them
Yes.
a voice. So, that's
Because you
good.
think, sometimes you think, oh, these women are just whining, they're just coming in here trying to be sensitive, No, this stuff happens to
Yeah,
men too. They just don't say it. And
that,
so I
yeah.
have 3 stories I'm getting ready to load, but I need to, do some other things before I got that one done.
That's awesome. Can you share with us about your new book though? Like it doesn't have to do with the workforce. It's a new book that is coming out soon and
Yes,
I'll let you
yes.
share with us.
Well, I have the cover, but I'm gonna save it. But it's called a wellness journey con sabor, and it's brain science with flavorful life lessons. And basically, what I've done is I've merged my memoirs of growing up around food and around wellness, and then now that I've become a licensed brain health trainer, I've learned so much about how the brain influences us to eat well, to live well. Because if your brain is not happy, it's very difficult for you to be happy. But see, we don't know these things, and my first chapter, I have to tell you, is probably one of my favorite, and that is that I have a friend whose parent, we were going to our weight management meeting, her and I, and we grew up together, and we were probably in our early 20s, and she was still living with her mom after she finished college, and I went and picked her up, and I said, and I'm waiting in there, waiting in the living room for her to get ready, and I said to her, I said, okay, so hurry up. But then she's walking, because we're gonna go weigh in. She's walking past the kitchen, and her mom's throwing like big spoonfuls of manteca and the lard in the beans. I mean, let's be real. Manteca and beans taste good, but it's not good for you, right? And so
Uh,
she just had a fit. I guess they had just gotten back from the doctor's office, I guess the day before, and she said, "Mama, I told you you can't eat like that anymore. You're pre-diabetic. The doctors told you that you're gonna
yeah.
get sicker if you don't." And we had lost a substantial amount of weight the first 2 weeks on our weight management. So she was sharing with her that she had bought her, an opportunity to be in that same weight management group. And so but she saw what we were eating. We were at the time we were eating box food for the first 3 weeks or 4 weeks, and of course that's why we lost so much weight, because we went from tortillas and frijoles, arroz, all that, and then just a little, little
$100, yeah.
and
Oh
was into food, and then food like that we didn't know anything about, like what beef stroganoff. What the heck is beef stroganoff? So then I'll never forget. Her mom, they had some words coming back and forth, and her mom told her, she goes, Mom, I am not gonna stand by and watch you kill yourself. And so we're walking out, and I said, come on, let's go, because I don't like conflict. So I was like, let's go. I don't want to be in the middle. And she said, her mom yells she goes, you go on and you get your little selves, at your weight management group. She said, and I'll stay here and eat me some good food, because your food tastes like cardboard. She goes, I will die happy, and you will. So that's my first story. And it was really because she said that, I am not going to give up eating sabroso, which is flavorful from my culture, foods from my culture, so that I could be well.
Yeah, we love to eat.
Exactly. So that was kind of my intro. But really the focus is, honestly, Paola, is that we have such a high rate of diabetes in the Latino community right now. And in the book, I say die, like DIE, capital Beatties, because it was the reason my mother passed. Two of my brothers have fewer toes because of it. They have had their toes amputated. Everyone in my family has diabetes. So what I think, type 2. But what I think is that I want to address that message, and I want to start with, let's try to reverse this, because it's reversible. It really is. But I'm not telling you that you have to eat cardboard. I'm saying that I am on this journey as well, and I have learned to adapt a lot of very flavorful, cultural, ethnic foods that people don't even realize that they're not eating, the original. Now, I'm going to tell you, this is a 90-10, okay, Paola, because 10% of the time, I'm going to eat me some queso, and I'm going to, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to eat my tamales that I offer for Christmas, but I'm not going to eat a whole, half dozen or whatever. And I'm going to look forward to it, and I'm going to, have my green smoothie in the morning before I know I'm going to go have that. So there's a way. It's not all or nothing. But diabetes is literally killing off our race, the Latino community. They're the highest, and the African American community. So what are we going to do about it? Just sit back and no, I want to be part of the change. And I know that for me, I've seen change. I'm not there yet. I want to reverse it, but I'm real close. So, but it's a fight, man. It's a fight. It's even my kids are starting to feel like, they're adults already. That one did just happen to become diabetic, and that just kills me, because I'm like, really, I got to do something.
Yes, yes, we have to do something.
I know.
Yes, that's why I'm doing these interviews. Like bring people awareness of our health, of our leadership, of like we matter, we're lovable.
Absolutely.
So, what has been the biggest challenge as a leader?
For me, like I mentioned before, individuals who just don't want to be, don't want to be helped, and that they're beautiful people, they're intelligent, they're capable, but they're set in their ways, and they feel like everything they say is right, and you can't teach them anything any longer. Those people, I feel, have to kind of, get to a point where they realize that they're going to need some help. Yeah.
You said that, and this week I was reading that if you're in a room, and if you're the smartest people in the room, you're in the wrong crowd.
Yeah.
And I share that to my 10-year-old, so he just walks away from the room.
How beautiful. That's so beautiful.
If we begin to to realize that we're not the smartest people, that we are professional students, that the rest of our life we don't know it all, and if we're humble enough to be like, okay, there is more to learn in life, that would open so many doors, right? So
I could easily just walk into the sunset now. My husband and I have worked so much to build our careers and get our families, on their way. All three of my children have degrees. They are all very successful. I could just literally say, okay, let me just go hang out, at the beach all day or shopping or whatever. And that's fine and well if that's what you want to do. But I feel like I still have so much to do. I'm in my 60s and I have so much to
Whoa,
do.
wow, man. Your story is very inspiring, by the way. Like
Thank
when
you.
I read your book and I was like, I was very inspired. I'm a Latina. It would be
Mm-hmm.
I'm a first generation would be of immigrants.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so it's like reading your story. It was like, I'm very inspired by you. So I
Thank
cannot
you.
wait to continue, to learn
Yes.
from you. So as soon as your book comes out, let me know.
Yes. The one
And
about Sabor or the second half? Well, I'll let
both,
you know about all of them.
both. I love to read. So,
Well,
so
you've
we're
encouraged me because, sometimes you go, really? I'm up at 4 in the morning and I'm typing, or who cares about this? But so thank you.
no, I care because I see like if I am a role model for my children, if I teach my
Mm,
children that learning is a never ending thing, and
yes.
be humble enough to always learn from
Mhm,
someone, even if it's
mhm.
somebody's grouchy, learn not to be like that
Yes.
person, right?
Everybody has
So,
something to contribute if you just ask. That's what I said at the very end. I thought to myself, I'm going to tell him about Kermit the Frog. Kermit the Frog was green, right? And and now this is a long time. I'm dating myself, but Kermit the Frog, it was Jim Henson was the creator of the Muppets, and one of the Muppets is Kermit the Frog. So he was always so kind, and he was always asking questions, and he was just like, but I think the green part that I'm talking about is when you're gonna eat a piece of fruit and you go, is it ripe? No, it's still green. Well, you always want to stay green. You never want to ripen when it comes to education because there's always something you can learn, you know? So
yes.
yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Yay. I mean, you inspire me. You
Okay.
keep going. Where can we find you? Is there anybody here in the audience that says, hey, I want to learn more about Dolores? Where can we find you?
Hmm. Okay, so I got a couple of things. I can tell you that if you want to know about my book, The Workforce Inspired, just www.workforceinspired.com. Right there, you'll be able to link into my LinkedIn. You'll be able to link into my the Concrete Rose, which is my mentorship program, and then you'll also be able to link into the book, the Amazon book, and when you hit the Amazon icon, it'll take you to the introduction of the book, so you get to read kind of like probably all the way into the first midway to the first chapter, so you'll get a good taste of what that book is all about. But really, it's just an opportunity for 6 women who were able to just release all of this stress. But a lot of those stories came out well. They were stronger because of those stories, because of those experiences. And so that's kind of what I wanted to push, is that when you're in the midst of that negativity, you feel like you're never getting out. And I believe that God put me through that last full-time job so that I could write that book and help a lot of people, because I was looking at it without any power to change it. And I would go home crying, sick to my stomach, and say, I can help you. But the person that brought me in decided that they wanted to flip my position. And they were actually fired within the next few months. So it was a traumatic experience. That's why I say I had to do something about it, and if it wasn't only to help me, to help others. So I'm glad to hear that you said it helped
Yes, it happened to me twice.
you.
And you tend to forget. It happened to me like a couple of years ago. So because you put it in the back burner, you say, "Oh, that was just
Yes.
not a fun memory." But if we
Mm-mm.
can inspire others to, like teach them before they go through, through that. So
Mhm.
I'm glad you train people in that work environment.
Yes.
Before you go, what is a message you are wanting to leave here today for our audience? What's something
Mhm.
that you can inspire them for them to create a brighter future in their life?
So, first and foremost, and I've learned this as I've gone along in my life, and that is that it is not selfish to put yourself first. I became diabetic in 2007, but I didn't start doing anything about it until 2014. So there's a 7 year gap there that I really didn't. I felt like, well, just give me a pill. I'm still gonna do whatever I want to do, and that could have damaged someone. My numbers weren't so high, but if they had been, I could have truly damaged myself for life. So, but I recall those 7 years were very much about my children, right? I had to take care of my children first, and we love our children, and especially, mothers are like, no, 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 I sacrifice everything for my children. But you have to remember that you have to put yourself first, because if you're not healthy, no one you will not give the best that you're trying to give to anyone else. You're going to give half, or even a third of who you could have given to them had you been well. And that's why I love the Dr. Amen Brain Health University, and that is because he talks about you have to be well. Are you well? Biologically, psychologically, spiritually, all the different parts of you. Are you well? And if you're not, then you need to write out what your goals are. Hold on.
Of course. There you go.
So, and then secondly, I wanted to share that ask for help. If you're not well, ask for help. We don't want to ask for help. I'm just gonna let her. Wait. Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So
and
you
then
matter.
I think, and then I think that, and don't listen to your dragons. But if anybody wants to know more about that, they can follow up with me. There's a whole thing about dragon slaying, and I'm slaying my dragons. What about you?
Yeah. Yes, it's a work in progress for sure. Thank you so much for your time. I hope you guys find a word, a phrase, in an aha moment. Anything that can help you to better your life. If you like to learn more about her, please follow Dolores Neira. I'm going to write down make sure you spell her name correctly, but you can find her on LinkedIn. She wrote a book. She's working on 2 more. Especially if you're in corporate America, if you're working in a company, and if you want to know more about toxic environment, read her book, because
Yes.
speak up. So blessings to you all. High five, Dolores. Thank
I'm gonna double high five you.
Blessings to you all, and
Gracias.
take care.
Gracias.
Gracias.
Que le vaya bien.